Did you receive a briefing about the border today?
Yes, I did.
What did you learn?
A lot.
Is there a crisis at the border, sir?
All right. Not much coming from Joe Biden, the president, when asked about his briefing of the situation at the border with the Mexican president. Biden only took 2 questions from reporters following today's briefing on COVID vaccines before he just walked away. The reality is the situation at the border is quite dire. It's really bad, expected to get much worse, too, in the coming days and weeks. The Domestic Policy Council is projecting that 117,000 unaccompanied minors unaccompanied child migrants will cross the border this year. 117,000 kids. Imagine that. We continue our immigration series tonight with our panel. Art Del Cueto, the Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council, joins us now, along with Michelle Malkin, host of Michelle Malkin Sovereign Nation. Guys, thanks for coming on. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Art, I want to start with you. Let's start with this. Biden has shared, pretty much nothing about this border briefing today. He didn't want to talk about it. Just yesterday, the new Homeland Security guy, Alejandro Mayorkas, claimed there's no crisis at the southern border. Everybody seems to realize it, except them, who just won't admit it. How worried are you?
I mean, it's worrisome. When you get a new administration, you expect different policies, and you expect them to change the policies from before. The problem right now is we're not seeing any of the new policies that they might want to implement. There is a large number of unaccompanied juveniles that are coming across the border in various parts, obviously through Texas and Arizona and California.
Right.
But one of the things that's a problem is every single area has different rules, I guess you would say. When it comes to the Arizona border, there's issues with the areas where we're detaining people. We can't detain more than a certain amount of people because of past case law. And then you're looking at Texas, where they're able to put more people in certain areas in detention facilities. But those are the problems that they've created a magnet where these individuals are coming into the U.S. thinking they're going to get released.
Right.
And right now we're seeing a big number of unaccompanied juveniles. Yeah. Just in Tucson sector alone, it's been well over 200 unaccompanied juveniles have turned themselves in less than a 30-hour time period. Yesterday, myself, I was able to see 2-year-olds, a couple of 2-year-olds that some smuggler just brought up to the border, send them in through one of the gaps so the Border Patrol agents can arrest them and bring them in. And what that creates, and people don't realize this, it's not just the unaccompanied juvenile. The cartels do this on purpose so they can preoccupy the agents with the unaccompanied juveniles while they're bringing in their drugs in other gaps within the border.
Unbelievable. 2-year-old kids. That's crazy. I knew that some of them were young. I didn't realize it was that young.
But where are the parents?
Exactly. That's another idea. Where are the parents, really? Michelle, I want to get your thoughts on the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki's comments today after she was asked about, like we were just talking about, the influx of these unaccompanied minors at the border. Take a listen.
It is still a difficult time. It's a difficult journey. We are not encouraging people to come, but we also believe differently from the past administration that we are not going to turn away kids who are under 18.
Yeah. Go ahead and react. You heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we call tying ourselves up in rhetorical knots, because creating this magnet, as Art put it so well, is exactly what the Biden administration intends to do. It's what they did when Biden was vice president under Obama. That's why we had the surge after surge after surge. And whatever pretty words they might be saying to discourage, at least give the pretense of discouraging people from coming, everybody hears the dog whistle loud and clear. And in fact, the surge is so bad now that we're getting reports, the Center for Immigration Studies just posted this on their website today, that the cartels are having such a difficult time and the smugglers managing the flow of people that they have to wear wristbands like you do at the playground or at amusement parks to keep track of the inventory of people. And of course, what this means is cash money flow for the smugglers, and whether it's using children as a pretext to distract from their hardcore criminal activities, or whether many of these so-called families, many of them fraudulent, 30% of them fraudulent, and in one sector in Texas under the Trump administration they found. So you can imagine what it is now, using them so that more and more strangers who are brought together by children are brought across the border, touch foot, and then are released.
Right.
What we're doing, of course, what they're doing is manufacturing a permanent Democrat ruling majority, because these people will get amnesty and they will vote more Democrats like Biden into office.
Absolutely. And that's what's happening. The smugglers are going down into these countries and saying, hey, if you get in right now, you're going to be a citizen in 6 months. I mean, this is the moment. This is absolutely the moment to go. Art, want to get your thoughts on the story we just read in the last block. You had this Ford SUV with 25 people packed. I don't even know how you get 25 people into an SUV. 13 killed after it got slammed into by a semi in just a horrible accident. What does this say about the situation right now?
You know, it just shows how blatant it is when you have that many individuals in one vehicle trying to further go into the country. I mean, that's how much of a magnet this has created. And I will add, because I was talking about the 2-year-olds, and I don't want to just focus on that. I want people to understand that what we are getting is a lot of individuals that are claiming to be juveniles, claiming to be under the age of 18. And I believe that also creates a magnet for recruitment of a lot of the gangs and criminals already in the United States.
Absolutely. It's unbelievable. That story was just incredible to me. The 13 killed in one car. I can't even fathom what that even looked like. Michelle, finally here, and we don't have a lot of time. We've had a number of migrants coming across. They get tested for COVID-19 today, a number of them in Brownsville, Texas. They're testing positive. Democrats are insane over every COVID restriction in this country, except this one they don't seem to care at all about.
Yeah, in fact, we got the news earlier this afternoon that dozens of these people have been released even after testing positive for COVID. And of course, for those of us who've covered these issues or worked along the border for so many years and decades, we know that COVID is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to communicable diseases that are being allowed to metastasize in this country. If anything, for public safety reasons alone, we should be shutting down the border. And rather than having Biden sending troops over to Syria and signaling the beginning of another round of endless wars, we should be putting troops on our border to make sure that our people are safe and healthy.
Good perspective from you both, guys. Thank you so much. Michelle Malkin and Art Del Cueto, thanks again. Time now for the news from the left. Welcome to China. Drop your pants and bend over. Maybe the greatest story in the short history of this show. The Chinese apologizing today to Biden administration diplomats for forcing them to endure anal swab COVID tests upon arrival in China. Vice breaking the story. Evidently, the State Department says they never agreed to this kind of testing when they sent their diplomats on this journey to China. Here's a photo of a Chinese scientist and a mannequin showing how they're going to do this thing. Not sure we needed to have a photo shoot. I think we can all imagine how something like this goes down. There's a video, by the way, as well. We're not going to put you through that. Imagine arriving in China on official American business and being forced immediately to take your pants off and get an anal swab. I'd pay $5,000 for video of this thing. What an incredible story. I guess at the end of the day, China's been doing this to us one way or another for many years. At least this time they apologized. I thought I was going to cry. That's just a good story. All right, next up, the very liberal Cori Bush, Congresswoman from Missouri, doing what liberals do. Republican Dan Bishop tweeting out, "You can't make this up. Cori Bush's amendment that allows an individual convicted of any crime, including murder, rape, or hate crimes, to cast their vote while still in prison. How is this about ensuring a free and fair election?" That's what this was supposed to be about. She wants people in prison to be able to vote. Gotta admit, the Dems know how to win. They proved that in 2020. What a world we live in, and what a world they live in. If everyone in federal prison votes for you, you're probably terrible for society. Cori Bush has that kind of support, and she knows it. What a voting bloc. Prison inmates. The amendment went to debate today and failed miserably, by the way, 328 to 97. More than 100 Democrats joining the Republicans, to their credit. What a shame for Cori Bush. She's going to have to learn how to appeal to upstanding members of society. It's not easy. Finally, Amazon with maybe the weirdest story of the day. We already had the funniest story of maybe my life. Now the weirdest story of the day. Evidently, somebody thinks Amazon's smartphone app logo looks like Hitler. That's the one on the left was the old one. I guess the little blue tape thing is the mustache. I mean, talk about ridiculous. We reported last night on Alyssa Milano, the actress, and other left-wing wackos who thought the CPAC stage resembled common Nazi symbols. They see Nazi symbols in this, and they all think that this was a message to the Nazis of the world. We live in a world of very bored, unintelligent people. Amazon, though, actually bent to this. They changed the logo. We can bring it back up again. The left ignores so many real atrocities in the world to focus on this. That's the new logo on the right. Apparently, it's no longer Hitler. Aren't you glad you're a Republican? And you can just laugh at all this? COVID anal swabs for diplomats?
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.